God, there's a letter. Dear Sir, Festus Keyamo, let's have Nigerian Airlines first. Later, we can talk about establishing an aircraft manufacturing firm in Nigeria. It's a shame that the giant of Africa doesn't have an official airline of the nation. And the next one is from Thinker Storm, who says, why an aircraft manufacturing firm? How many people fly by air in Nigeria? A lot more people travel by road. Why not instead give support to car manufacturers? That's where it is needed. And this next one is from me. No, it's not me. This is at thingmommy_fire with the name me. And this person says, the last man that occupied the same seat said Nigeria will manufacture aircrafts before the end of Buhari's government. Today, he is a regular visitor to EFCC with massive corruption case dangling on his neck. Nigeria does not still make even aircraft wheels. And Olisa Nwosu says, Ipswich Town reveal plans to win the Champions League. I mean, we're talking about stray bullet and about aircraft and stray bullet how to hit Ipswich. By the way, Ipswich is a very fantastic team. Yeah, they might not be that ambitious, but one day they will win the Champions League. And, let's move over to Priya, then Blessing can, give a brief addition to this. What do you think? Do you think this is too ambitious rather? Do you think this is too audacious?
It's not ambition per se. I think it's just you're just putting the horse before the cart, putting the cart before the cart, or whatever way they say it. It's not, where is our own airline?
Okay.
Where is it?
So
if we can't do that, doesn't know what it takes. I know you should know.
We have to wrap up. Thank you. Blessing, do you want to add one?
Okay, I will laugh first.
Okay.
And I will say, can a country dream? Of course, a country can dream.
Yeah.
But once you wake up, reality stares you in the face. So Nigeria wants to have an aircraft manufacturing company when maintenance for the airlines that are operating in Nigeria are done abroad. I don't know what level of excitement happens before statements like this are made. I think the reality should be, let's look at what is feasible. Yeah. We can dream, but that's going to take a long time planning. If we do not even have a national carrier, and we're talking about aircraft manufacturing company, seriously? Mr. Keyamo, I need to know how you get to this level. The excitement that happens with
all right, thank you, Blessing. I mean, it was a wonderful conversation with you guys. And by the way, that's ministry, the man that occupied that same ministry said that Nigeria will begin to manufacture its own aircraft before the end of 2023. This is 2025, and we have not seen anything. But then we hope that Minister Festus Keyamo knows what he is saying, and he can actually bring the details and show us how that will be possible. And that is all from Post and Perspective. Stick around for sports with TC Barra. He's going to be bringing you the business of sports. Do not go anywhere.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge, ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates a substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged.
Good Nigeria to you. Welcome to the money side of sports. This is halftime on the Front Burner Show. Let me start off by letting you know that automotive tire brand BKT has entered into a long-term sponsorship deal with that covers European Rugby Union Six Nations National Team Tournament. Now, the tie-up will see BKT become the official tire partner for both the men's and women's editions of the Six Nations. And this will come into effect on the 31st of January, when the 2025 men's tournament will get underway, with France taking on Wales. It will then continue through this year's women's iteration, running between March 2022 and April 26. And of course, part of this deal activation involves the creation of the BKT Award, through which emerging talent in both the men's and women's edition of the Six tournament 16 tournament will be recognized as such. It also comes as a significant addition to BKT's rugby sponsorship stable. You know that the brand is already a title partner for the United Rugby Championship Club's competition outside South Africa. Global Data Sports has valued that deal running through the ongoing 2024-2025 season at $3 million overall. Well, great stuff coming from that automotive company investing in sports. Still in the same vein, LG Electronics and ANC are now quietly operating under what the two companies are terming a marketing alliance. The electronic giant scoreboards, you know, of course, where you put the scores during sports games, ribbon boards, and other venue hardware systems. It will be sold and serviced now by ANC, and they've described this arrangement as a long-term deal. From there, we move to esports, where Abu Dhabi is looking to make its mark on the gaming industry in the Middle East after its investment arm struck a multifaceted, multi-year agreement with Nasdaq-listed esports. It's an organization of NIP Group. Now, the deal will see Adio support NIP with a backing of up to $40 million over a 4-year period upon meeting conditions which has been specified in certain KPIs. But the NIP's group Ninjas in Pyjamas brand competes across several game titles, including the Rainbow Six Siege, League of Legends, Apex Legends, Rocket League, Counter-Strike 2, EAFC, and the MLBB. If you know all of these games, and then it means you're huge on e-gaming. Well, in its latest first half 2024 financial report, NIP generated net revenues of $39.3 million, and that's mainly attributed to strong growth in its event production business and a gross profit of $2.4 million. Some transfer updates. I'll let you know that Wilfred Zaha has moved to an MLS club, Charlotte FC. The Ivorian winger has joined the Major League Soccer club on loan until January 2026, and there's also an option for an extension until June. He's currently playing on loan at Lyon after transferring from Galatasaray last summer. The former Crystal Palace forward has had limited opportunities this season, making 6 appearances, and 5 of which were as a substitute. Well, at Charlotte, he will occupy designated player spot, allowing the team to add a talented player without impacting the salary cap so much. I mean, what an extra from loan to loan. I'm out of the zone. Samuel Chukwueze, Taiwo Wuni, some of Nigeria's finest players may have to leave their respective clubs. We hear that Spanish La Liga club Real Betis is reportedly interested in the England forward Samuel Chukwueze for a potential transfer this January. Of course, his future, has been muddled of uncertainty, has plagued it due to his minimal impact at the Italian club AC Milan, where, if you remember, he joined in 2022 after putting in productive 6-year stint at Villarreal, where he amassed 37 goals and 31 assists in 207 appearances. His brother, Taiwo Wuni, may be considering a change of scenery, as reports indicate he's also open to leaving Nottingham Forest due to uncertainties regarding his role at the club. So some unconcluded deals. We have Chelsea, actually very firm in their stance regarding Francis striker Christopher Nkunku, as they demand a minimum of £70 million before considering any offers from Bundesliga giants Bayern Munich. And Brazilian winger Antony is nearing the completion of a loan move to Spanish club Real Betis. League One club AS Monaco are keeping a close eye on Rashford Marcus, as well as preparing to meet his substantial £315,000 a week wage in a loan arrangement if that pulls through, reported in some media quarters. That's all I've got for you today on Halftime, which is the money side of sports right here on the front burner Souq News Television. I'll be handing you back to Blessing, who is, of course, with the rest of the crew in the studio. My name is Temple Bara. This is me, signing out.
Thank you so much, TC Barr, for the sports updates. This is where we draw the curtain into this edition of the Front Burners, but the conversations do not end here. It continues with you being a part of it. You can go over to our YouTube channel, Souq News TV, and leave a comment, hashtag the Front Burners. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, X, at Souq News TV. I am Blessing H. The show returns tomorrow, 7 a.m. West African time. And from Doc.
Bye for now. The bonus tomorrow morning again.
I am Oyin Priya Krumale, and thanks for watching.
Stay with Souq News TV.
Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. We are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Michael Adiwale Onofuye. I'm a shepherd of the church called Celestial Church of Christ, White City Parish, reside in UK. I started the ministry right from my youth age. I was born into this church by my parents called Solomon Olaiwola Onofuye and my mother Alice Mimunat Onofuye. They gave back to me to the church, Celestial Church, and I went to primary school in Lagos, and I have my secondary school in Lagos as well. And after my secondary school, I went to a professional school, NCE, National Certificate of Education, in Lagos State College of Education. And after that, I went for my degree. I have my BEd, Bachelor in Education. I have my NCE as a professional teacher. Then I decided to travel down to UK in order to change my profession to law. But on getting down to Britain, God arrested me to carry his cross. So I carried the cross since 1985. And up to now, I'm working the ministry as a shepherd of the church. And recently, I've just been promoted as the head of the prophets in UK and Northern Ireland dioceses within the fold of Celestial Church of Christ. And I'm still the shepherd of the church called White City Parish in UK, in Barking, in SS area. So, and at the same time, I love doing business. I'm into business. I'm an entrepreneur, and because why I went to business is I don't depend on church money, because the church money is meant for the church, and I have to have a living for myself. So that's why I went into business, different kind of business. You know, I learned that trade through my late parents, because I usually carry sell ogede around Fade area for them everywhere along the street while I was in Nigeria. You know, since from there I pick up an entrepreneurship. You know, so I've been doing that alongside with God's work, pastoral work. That's 38 years now. 38 years I've been leading the church. The one I established, which is Celestial Church of Christ, White City, is going to be 37 this year. Before then, when I got to Britain, I led a church. It's a Clapham Parish, Celestial Church of Christ, Clapham Parish. Before I left that to establish the one I'm leading, and I've started that since 1987, and up till now, I'm still in there. I'm still the shepherd of the church. You see, I've mentioned in my introduction, because I believe church money should stay with the church, and I believe I must have a living because I have a family and I have to train my children, and because I don't want to delve, the church has got its own setup, and there are some pastors that do winners take all, but I don't believe in that. I believe I have got to work for my living. So that's why I'm from my background with my parents, especially my mom. There's all kind of trade I did with her. I sell banana, I sell rice. I sell so many things. I do street hawking in Nigeria, all over everywhere. So from there, I have that initiative. I have that. It's been built in me, and because I love to do something in order to make ends meet. So that's why. But I got that from my parents because my dad was an accountant. Then he retired into business, selling books, supplier of books. He's a contractor. So I took that from my both parents, to be an entrepreneur. And because I believe you've got to work for your living, you don't have to rely on the church, you don't have to rely on anybody. You've got to be hardworking. Christ as well taught us to be hardworking. Christ was an entrepreneur as well. He taught us how to have a living, how to, like the fishermen. So you've got to, so I took that source from my parents. From then, I built onto that. You see, if as a pastor, as a shepherd, as a head of the church, to earn respect, you need to separate yourself from the church. I separate, and maybe that is what is still making me to be successful today, because I've got about 9 kids. Out of them, I've got five graduates who are PhD holders, and I pay their school fees. You see, so if I don't separate the church, yes, it's in the Bible that Levites don't. You have to feed with the church. You have to feed from the church. But my principle is, you've got to separate the church from your lifestyle. You've got to find. I depend on. I have the church. I'm on the salary, so the church has got a treasurer. The church has got an accountant. It's got a church financial secretary. I separate the church. So, and that's why I always tell my kids, if I'm no more today, don't think that position is hereditary. Don't think the position is hereditary. My position is not hereditary. If I'm no more, somebody else will take over, not my children, not one of them. That's why I took time to educate them very well, so that they can have their own source of living. I've got five of them who are PhD holder. One is in architecture, one is in journalism, one is in music, one is in the medical line. So I've got one is in media. They are all, they help my calling in the church. All areas of the church, we have the media. One of my daughter is she's the one heading the media. I have all the posters I have. My daughter Ayotole, she's the one that designed all the posters of the church, my posters, all programs that I'm running. She's the one that, and I have a son. He's called Dr. Tosin. He's into music. He has PhD in music. He heads the music area of the church. So all my children are cut across areas of the church, but the principle is we must walk out of the church, have a living out of the church, not feeding from the church. That earns me respect among the members. I derive from the work I'm doing because I enjoy helping others. I derive that fulfillment right from my youthful age, before my calling, even within my calling, after my calling, within my calling, I derive help others first. When you help others first, God will help you in between. I prefer to suffer myself in order to make people happy, so that their happiness is my fulfillment. Mankind happiness is my own fulfillment. If I go to church in the morning, I get to church 9 a.m. I don't leave the church until around 11 p.m. because I consult people, I counsel people, I pray for people, and my joy, the fulfillment is when they come back for testimony. Not to charge them, not to take any money from them, but when they testify to the glory of God. That's my fulfillment. And on top of that, then my family, the achievement of my children is another thing. You see, all I've achieved, all my background start from spiritual inspiration, God's inspiration. And when I was born, as I was told, my dad said they had a prophecy that I'm going to be a shepherd. But I did not rely on that. I went on education. I have my primary school, I have my secondary school, I have my diploma, I have my degree. So I did not rely on that. But because it's been prophesied that I'm going to carry the cross, after my service, youth service, then I'm in search of looking for a job. But I couldn't get a job. I ended up working in the church, praying in the church, being a prophet in the church, just doing one thing or the other in the church. Then at one point in time, somebody came into the church and said, okay, why are you young man, why are you here? And he said, what do you do? I said, I'm a graduate. He said, are you a graduate? I said, yes. He said, okay, are you not looking for a job? I said, I'm looking for a job, but I haven't got anyone. He said, okay, I'll take you somewhere. There and then, they gave me an employment as a teacher before I left. So after that, because there is a prophecy of my life that I'm going to be a shepherd of, after all said and done, I don't know, maybe on a service day, I just realized that, I want to have an opportunity of going to Britain, travel out. Something just inspired me that why can't you go abroad? I said, how will I do it? I don't know how I'm going to do it. Then something came to my mind. I said, go and get a passport. I took his passport. That time, you don't need visa to go to Britain. So I took the passport. Then I said, okay, what do I want to do with this passport? I'm going to. Then something inspired me and said, there must be a Celestial Church in UK. I said, okay, let me go to our headquarters. I got to the headquarters. I said, I went to the head of the church there. I want to travel out, but I don't have anybody there. How can I do it? Then the Baba said, okay, if you can sleep in the church, I will get somebody to help you. Fortunately for me, the head of the UK just came down from London. So he introduced me to the Baba. The Baba said, what rank are you? I said, I'm superior William. He said, are you a prophet? I said, yes. Okay, one church will need you in UK. Then he said, I'll give you a letter. He gave me a letter. Then, and I got the letter. I said, okay, what next for me? To buy tickets. Then that time, because I work in the church, I have so much money, so much with me to buy the ticket. So I bought the ticket. Don't forget, I've got the passport. With the ticket and the passport, I went to go and meet my dad. I said, Dad, I'm traveling. He said, when do you start planning this? I said, it's God's inspiration. Do you know anybody there? I said, no. But because I believe the Celestial Church is about love. And if it's about love, I believe wherever Celestial is, if you are there, they are there to help you. My dad said, okay, all right. Good luck. That was how I pick up my passport, pick up my luggage. I got to. That man, the Baba that helped me, the head of UK, said, he gave me a letter to one man called Baba Oke, the owner of that church. The first word I said, I was the shepherd before I established White City, Clapham Parish. So I got to the airport. When I got to the immigration office in UK, they said, who do you want to come and meet? I said, I want to go and meet Baba Oke. Okay, let us go and ring him whether he's not expecting me. But because it's been ordained, it's been destined that I'm going to be in UK, they went to go and call him. So of course I'm expecting him. Somebody I've known, I've not ever met him at all. So That was how I got into UK. It's miraculous. It's just instantaneously. And it's not something that I've planned for a long time, but because it's been destined, it's been prophesied, and God has ordained it that I'm going to be in UK. And before I traveled, after I've been given I'm going to travel, I went to about 7 parishes to go and do offering. So when you want to travel, you have to do offering. Thank God that God has made this journey possible. I went to 7 parishes to go and do offering. One of the prophets there, prophesied again. Don't forget, I said I'm going to UK not to work as a church worker, not to work as a pastor. I want to go out there because I'm a professional teacher. I want to change it to law. So that prophet said, I can see after my offering, she took me out. It's a young prophet, a young prophetess. She took me and said, you are traveling to somewhere. I saw you in a people of white skin. You are traveling there, but God is making 7 promises for you. That when you get there, they're going to make you a shepherd of the head of the church. You're going to establish a church. You're going to work with white people. Those 7 promises, as soon as I got to Britain, start materializing. The week I got down there, I was made the leader of that church, Clapham Parish. Then I worked with white people. Then after about 3 years in Clapham Parish, God, through me, established White City Parish, of which I'm leading right now. And the rest 7 promises was fulfilled. So it's my traveling. All I will say is it's been God's ordained and willing. I love writing. And because I'm a teacher and I want to inspire people and let people know that with God everything is possible. And at the same time, if you see one of my passports, be an entrepreneur, be enterprising. Whatever you want to do, even as a pastor, even as a shepherd, you need to be enterprising. You need to inspire people. You need to get people to believe in themselves. And you need to find a way to be hardworking. Don't rely on what God has said. If God has said, if God has promised, you need to work on that God's promise. As James said, if you can, a Christian if you say you have faith without work, it's absolutely nothing. It doesn't work. So I have joy in writing and I'm inspired through the Holy Spirit. I've got about three or four books I've written in the past. I have Living Above Limitation, Power of Spirit, Spirit-Filled Life, and I've got Be an Entrepreneur, Be Enterprising. And the one I'm launching this Saturday is about 4. One is God's word of insurance is a sure word of assurance. God's words of assurance is a sure word of insurance. And what that means is when God assure you, when God promise, it's a fulfilling God. He's insured. It's just like somebody having a building. If you have an insurance on your building, of course, you're 100% sure. If anything happens, you have your insurance to back you. So that when you have God's word as of assurance, it's your sure word of insurance. If God says God will bless you, it's God's assurance. And take the word and work on it. That's one of my books. The other one, in follow-up of Living Above Limitation, it's War Against Limitation. It's a prayer book. It's a prayer book to help people discover themselves in spiritual attack, because this world is full of evil. This world is full of darkness, and you need prayer. You need a constant prayer to help. That's my second book. The other one is Maximizing of God's upon your life. Maximizing of God's divine upon your life. Then the other is 3. 1, God's word of assurance, your sure word of assurance. 2, living war against limitation. And the third one, maximizing of divine God upon your life. Then My son also wrote a book. You know, the one there, The World Around Me, is a compilation of his stories of his life. Because something tragic happened to him when we came on holiday about 4 or 5 years ago. So, and I told him, put it as a story so that you can inspire people as well. So we are launching that as well on Saturday with him. So I'm excited because that book is to motivate people, to inspire people, and to rekindle people's hope and faith in God and in humanity, and also to guide people and to help their prayer life. So these are my assignments for Saturday. Samuel Temidayo Onofuye. The World Around Me. How old? He's 11.
Wow.
Of course. In his school, he belongs to Junior Writers Association. We are living in a perilous world. We are living in a wicked world. We are living in a world that is full of tragedy. And the only thing you need is prayer. Like I used to quote in the church, a prayerless person is a powerless person. If you are prayerful, you need to. You see, he said, in this world you will see tribulation, but be of good cheer because I've overcome the world. So we face all that we are facing in the world today is being predicted by Christ. It's going to happen. Famine is going to happen. Nation will rise up against nation. So many. But yes, two people will be going, one will disappear. So a lot has been predicted by Christ in the Bible. And the only thing that you need is prayer. Without prayer, you cannot survive this evil world. And that's why I have written this book to people to discover that with Christ, the only way is Christ, and the only way is prayer. Yes, I'm not discriminating other religion, even Muslim, they pray as well. So the only sect that doesn't pray is the traditionalist. And you see even the traditionalists, when they give you anything, they will say, in the name of Orunmila. What is Orunmila? It's Olubentomala, and it's Christ. Christ is the way. So that is their own area, you see. So everybody believe in prayer. Everybody believe that Christ is the way, is the prayer. So that's what I am using the book to motivate people, to inspire people, to let them know, to discover themselves, to let them know that all things are possible. With prayer, we believe in God, and steadfastness in worship. There's nothing impossible with God. Believe in God, believe in prayer, and have belief in yourself. Have confidence in yourself. Speak out. When you don't speak out, people cannot know what is wrong with you. I have that slogan. I've drawn topics on that. Speak out. When you speak out, and you seek help. Speak out and seek help from family, from church, from God. Pray and believe. And also, don't think everything is over. It's not over until it's over. Once you have that belief and faith, you don't need to, you see, it's a sin in order for you to think all hope is lost. Hope is not lost. Once you are living and you are prayerful and you speak out and you talk out, all things will be possible. And pray at all times. Believe in yourself, discover yourself, but the most important thing is speak out, talk out, and seek for help. Where you don't need to seek for help somewhere else, but seek for help from God, from those you think will be of help to you. And that is the church. Pray and have that hope in Him. He will actually, there's nothing is impossible for God once you have that belief. If I can tell you so many experiences of life that in UK as a shepherd. I had it for 15 years. I don't have papers. But because I believe that God one day, He promised, God never promised and don't fulfill. It's a God fulfilling, it's a covenant fulfilling God. Once you stay focused, you are prayerful, and speak out, talk out.
Well, I'm Prince Raymond Adekunle Olaye Akishemoy. I was born into a Catholic family. I was raised maternally by the Cardozo family. My paternal family, the Olaye Akishemoy family, are from Isaleko, and they own the entire space called Makoko. I grew up in Lagos Island. I'm a Lagos boy. I went to Holy Cross, my primary school. Got into St. Finbar's, but because of my interest in going to Greg's, I had to leave Finbar's and I went to Greg's to complete my secondary school. Had a run with my education. They first went for NCE. Then it used to be Advanced Arts College, Onitolo. We changed it to Lagos. It was during my tenure. We changed it to Lagos State College of Education, Otto Ejaniki. I was a school student union PRO then. Then went, after that, during that period I was a journalist too. During the period of the Second Republic, I was the Lagos State correspondent for Radio YO. When I went for NYC in 1982, I was made a press secretary to two commissioners in Ogun State. That's Chief Yemi Adefulu and Chief Isiaka Abiodun Adekunle. I was the press secretary to the two commissioners there. After that, I went back. I did a short period of teaching for 1 year at Agaway Secondary School. Then I left for one school to a very interior part of Ogun State, Okiri Ojule. The full meaning is Okiri Ojule Mobile Begbedu. Secondary school there then. Then I left, went back to my journalism. I was with Community Concord. Then I joined Guardian. I was the one in Abeokuta with Tayo Awotusi, who later left for this one newspaper. Then he went to Liberia and he died in Liberia. You know. Then after Guardian, I started Republic with them. I was the first Ogun State editor of Republic newspapers. Then going back to Guardian, Concord. But within that period, I was the NUJ. I started the general in Ogun State during the period of media, you know. Demola Badejo was the secretary. I was the assistant secretary. And after that stint, I was the national financial secretary of SWAN, Sports Writers Association, during the time of Fan Ndubueze. So I got fed up with journalism when we had June 12th, and I saw the whole country in that terrible state. So I just left. Went back to school. I had OND, HND, mass comm. Then went back to school again for postgraduate marketing at NIJ. And I did law. And right now I'm practicing law. I also was in politics. I contested several elections on Lagos Island, chairmanship, House of Assembly, House of Reps. I didn't make it, but I was given the essay to Governor Tinubu when he became the governor. That's it. And really, I don't feel like joining politics anymore, because the way I sit now, may God help Nigeria. With the kind of politicians who are around now, there's nothing to write home about them. There are still some honest ones among them, but a lot of them are there for what they just want, not for what Nigeria will take to develop. I mean, we have so many things in this country. We have not even many, we have so much. We can't count them. The resources are there. We have everything that God can use to bless people. But we as a people, we are not ready to take advantage of all these things. And that's why we are here where we are today. I'm a Nigerian. Though first and foremost, I'm a Yoruba person before becoming a Nigerian. There's no part of this country I've not been to. But my Omoiko in me, the Omoluabi in me, will always be there. Yes, you're right. I'm an Omoiko person. Let's take the length and breadth of Nigeria. Lagos used to be the most beautiful area in the whole country, the most beautiful. Talk of the waterfront here. I grew up in this Holy Cross. After the mass service at Holy Cross, where the young kids will all come there, flock down to the marina side, savor the breeze, eat fruits, look at the boats, the ships, and we'll all be happy. The breeze, you will just be there enjoying yourself. It's not like that any longer. Later, the quayside came, and there were shops. You could buy as many as you wanted. Then, Lagos was beautiful. Our taps went dry. We would do these small paper boats, and we'll put them in our gutter in the house, and we'll follow it to the flow. Where are those ones now? The drains are now just there. They are not moving. You see? They are like ponds. In those days, I could remember, if you have thieves, there were not so many. Even the issue of stealing started becoming rampant, I think, after the Civil War, if I could remember. We were all sleeping outside our houses. We have our houses. Comfortable houses. Small as they were comfortable. But we were all sleeping outside, getting the breeze and everything. It used to be ECN then. Electricity Corporation of Nigeria. ECN, yes. And these days, you see armed robbers everywhere. You see armed robbers everywhere. So that is, you see, it's a pity that things like that are happening now. It was shortly after the war that we started seeing the case of armed robbery. And Babatunde Fọlọ́runṣọ́ got himself in the history book as being the first set to be shot. I could remember when my mom came back from England, 1967, and she got the house, I think number 6 or number 8, I'm not sure again, at Lawadin Street. She was working at Lutz as a nurse then. And this man she thought good enough for her, she went for night duty in the hospital. By the time she came back in the morning, all these Babatunde Fọlọ́runṣọ́ people had visited her apartment. We were in Lagos with our granny, in Lagos. They had visited our apartment, and while they were going, whether they were living in a hotel or something, they left their submachine guns and everything on the window. The police couldn't do anything. So shortly after that, he was arrested. So that actually spurred me into going to see his execution at the beach, and that was 1970. Yes, that was 1970. It was the first set. And shortly after, we started having so many cases of armed robbery. Because the guns were so many after the Civil War. I pray Nigeria goes back to its old self, where people were safe. I wonder how the government can do that. Now the security people can do that. But I pray that Nigeria should go back to its old self. Morocco is a coastline settlement, and we acquired that place from the Oloto family around the 18th, 19th century, and they got all the papers from the Oloto family then, and the man who inherited that was Adam Omandra. Adam Omandra gave birth to his children, and the only one that survived him then was very vocal was Ramotu Manuel, who is my own great grandmother, and she was left to take care of that place, but she was West Coast merchant who was always traveling. So when he came back, the people she put in charge, the man she put in charge, had passed on, and his children now claimed ownership. So they had to go to court, and she won that case. Went on appeal, she won again. Went to the Supreme Court, she won. So from there, it was established that the land, Morocco, even the Oloto then came to testify in court that yes, she was truly the owner of Morocco. Morocco was a big place. There was no third mainland bridge then. So she had 4 children. He had Gafari, who was the first child, and who was the first Bali of Morocco. But he died without having any injury. He had an injury, a lady, a girl. On the eve of her wedding, she died without having any injury. So his lineage went. The second child was my own grandfather, Wahab Kadri Olaya Kishimori. He became the Bali after him, after the first Bali, and he ruled till 1970 before he died. The next person to Wahab was Rahim. Rahim was the first chief imam of Morocco, and his own son, one of his children, Kamaru, acted as the Bali of Morocco when my grandfather died. My father, who should have stepped in, was the accountant with NIPOST then, before he went to custom to become the accountant again, and internal revenue, federal inland revenue. So he didn't have time for the traditional things. So his junior cousin, Kamaru Adewale Olaya Kishimori, took over. Then next to Rahim was the lady whose place I use as my palace today, and that is Sariyu. Sariyu too didn't have any child. So out of the 4 children, only Wahab and Rahim that have their own offspring. And that's why the two branches are the ones ruling Morocco. The third we would have called part of us were people that Mama Ramotu took to be with her, and she was taking care of them. Their father's name was Yakini. So in her will, she put it there that they should give them, treat them as children too. So those are the four basic children of Ramotu Mandela. And Maoko, it was Ramotu who welcomed or who employed the Egun people to be fishing for her. And I have papers where they were even pleading that it should be given a space to use, to be staying while fishing, because they used to fish and would leave. And they told her that where they were coming from was far. So she told them to settle at the river bank, and she specifically instructed her children to collect rent from them. But over the years, because of the friendship and everything, they left them, and they've been going ever since. And that is why we have that chaotic situation on the waterfront, where everybody just comes now, build your stilts house, and you are good to go. That's why I have now told the government now that, look, come, let us redevelop Maoko, which is now being kicked against by some people. They think I want to drive them. No, I'm not driving you away. Let's redevelop Maoko in line with new developments in the world. We cannot continue to be looking at Maoko. People will be flying the Third Mainland Bridge, and you'll be seeing that debt, that rot. Once we redevelop that place, unlike what the governments are doing in many places, because the government will take your land, build a house where the masses will not be able to buy into again, we can give those who are there, part of what we've built. Those, I called them once, I could remember, I said, look, those who are presently on a portion of land, on a parcel of land, will be taken as co-owners. So when we develop, you take your share. The developer will recoup his money, and all of us will be happy. But God knows, things are changing in Nigeria. Things are changing. It's a pity. I hope and I pray that one day we'll have those who will think positively for the development of this country. Because we go out of this country, we go to other countries and see that these people are far developed. Why are we not developing? Maoko has a lot of resources. Maoko is known all over the world for fish industry. And there are so many people who have left Maoko to other countries that have made it. So why can't we make it? Why can't we build houses affordable to common people, and they settle on the waterfront and their recreation spots, I spoke with the Emirates, the people from Dubai, from the United Arab Emirates some years back, and they agreed that they were going to invest there. Why couldn't we do it? Right now we are appealing to the present Lagos State government, Sanwo-Olu, to give us that opportunity of doing that development by ourselves. I don't know why government will not be interested in owners of a land, a parcel of land, developing their land. But the government will say, no, we are driving everybody away, we want to develop ourselves. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Let them come together. Let us see what we have. Let us see what they have. Let us see how we are going to do it together. That's how we can build a nation. Thank you. The first I would say is misinformation. The world is being fed only about bad things about Maoko. Oh, Maoko is a slum. Maoko, they are living on water. Maoko, no, there are so many good things about Maoko. So many good things. Yes, we have all these area boys, we have all these, I'm a made person who shouldn't be. But we have people who are investors too in Maoko. As far as Lagos is concerned, Maoko is the biggest fish industry in Lagos State. Are you getting what I'm saying? All over the world, people know Morocco for the fish industry. And if government comes together and partners with the people and develop that industry alone, it's bam. The other one is this plywood industry. You get what I'm saying? Yes, government is trying to relocate them to elsewhere. But there are cottage industries that could be made for this kind of businesses in Morocco, and the people in Lagos will still be benefiting. And you won't lose all these spaces you are seeing being wasted. We organize it in such a way that every sector will be confined to specific areas, and government will make billions of money, and the people too will be happy. We don't do things haphazardly. We don't do fire brigade approach. No. Let us sit down and plan and say, look, this is the length and breadth of Morocco. This is what we are going to redevelop it into. This is the residential area. These are the recreation spots. This is what we are going to bring out from recreation services. For the other services being provided, this is what how we're going to organize it. As I'm talking to you, as old as Morocco is, there is no single secondary school, government secondary school in Morocco today. None. We've been clamoring for this for years, but it's like they're not serious. The last time the Ministry of Education sent some people to me, I took them to a parcel of land. Now, as usual, people will say, no, they are the owner. Who owns it? They are not. These are land poachers. We can send them off within weeks. Let them go to court, let them go to... They have no papers. You get it? But when they have politicians behind them, they draw the hands of the clock back. Let us move ahead. With a good secondary school in Morocco, all the children in Morocco will be going to that school instead of endangering their lives going far distances to look for secondary education. Do you get what I'm saying? We have the primary schools there. They are there. So, like I said, we have all those ones. Hospitals can be built. We have the primary health center, which is being run by the local government. But we can build a government model hospital in Morocco that can take care of that population and take care of the other people within or outside the Morocco environment. You know, we can do all these things. How much will it cost government? If government is not going to spend money, let us come together. We'll get organizations and people who will sponsor these kind of things. And it will be good for everybody. We will give them land. So this is what I see about Morocco. And like I told you earlier, there are people who have the money. There are investors who are ready to invest, as long as they know that, yes, what they are investing on is genuine. And there will be no policy that will raise their money tomorrow. That's what I said, at the waterfront alone, we can have service industries, hotels, recreation sports. When I called these United Arab Emirates people, they were ready to put in a whopping $15 billion. That was a long time ago. Even, I think that was shortly after Fashola left office. Shortly after, because it was somebody who came in. And they were ready to sign that time. They said they had the money. They were ready to sign. But where are we now? Before them, some group of people came. I will not mention the governor then. There was a particular governor that came and said, look, I have $3 billion to invest. I told them I wasn't going to be the only person to listen to that. I called members of the family and we all had a meeting with his representatives. And they said, look, We are not going to borrow this money. They were having $3 billion. We could not take off from the ground. We could not advance. We could not put our plans into, fruition. We could not do anything. Why are we being frustrated? And as I'm talking to you now, I am saying that the Lagos State government can still be made to sit with us and do this. But the next thing you hear is that they are talking to some stakeholders. Who are stakeholders? You are talking to my tenant as my stakeholder? I will go to court. Yes, the courts are there. You may own the court, you may build the court, but the law will always be the law. You can't talk to my tenants as somebody who is a stakeholder over my property. No, he is my tenant. Let him stay there. If I'm not doing anything bad to him, let him enjoy his stay there quietly. Anything you want to talk about my property, it's my property. Maoko is not government land. Maoko is a private family property. You get what I'm saying? It belongs to the other family and not to any other family. Any tout, any hooligan that gets money from I don't know where and comes and says, no, you cannot. Your forebears came as tenants. You cannot grow overnight and say you are. No, it's not possible. Well, the initial joy to me was that when I got there, at least I minimized criminal activities. I brought in the police, I brought in the security agencies to assist me in apprehending those hoodlums and bringing sanity into that, because before I got there, on monthly basis, they were killing themselves. They were raping openly. But I brought some senses into them. Unfortunately, the present scenario in Nigeria now has erased all those ones, because only hooligans these days in Nigeria make mouth. You even pray to God that God save my life. Because when you talk and you say police should go and arrest them, they won't. I have lists of a lot of people they can arrest now. Those who are doing arbitrary things in Maoko, that they should be arrested and prosecuted. But if you arrest them today, in fact, the police would arrest them. They will tell them they are still searching for them. And if you arrest them today, I'm telling you the next day, they are out. I could remember there was a time I brought in police. I was called that they were robbing. I brought in the police and we saw those boys robbing. I have lists of a lot of people they can arrest now. Those who are doing arbitrary things in Maoko, that they should be arrested and prosecuted. But if you arrest them today, in fact, the police would arrest them. They will tell them they are still searching for them. And if you arrest them today, I'm telling you the next day, they are out. I could remember there was a time I brought in police. I was called that they were robbing. I brought in the police and we saw those boys robbing. And we chased them. We chased them to a hotel and they disappeared. Went just inside and disappeared. So I told the police to arrest the hotel manager. Because for them to have run into that hotel meant that they knew about that hotel and they were being harbored there. Before the next morning, the manager had been released. Apart from that, the police came back in the night around 2 a.m. and met those boys again robbing. So they fired them. I was told they killed about 5 of them who jumped into the canal and died there. Before 8 o'clock the next morning, they had buried all of them. Then they called me to a security meeting at the council. And I told the chairman, I said, you should be arrested. I told him, I said, you should be arrested. He said, why? I said, who owns the government cemetery? Who owns the cemetery? Aton Cemetery. He said it belonged to the government. I said, who controls? He said, government. Fine. This incident happened on a Saturday night, stroke Sunday. Sunday morning before 8 o'clock, all these girls had been buried in government cemetery. How did they get in? Who authorized it, their burial? He saw where I was going. He now turned to the people. He said he didn't know anything. He now said, let's go and call the people in charge of the cemetery. He put in charge of the cemetery. They called the boy. When they called him, as soon as the boy saw me, he started raining abuses and invectives on me. This is the head of ram robbers and that. The man said, keep quiet. That's not what I brought you here for. Answer this question. What happened with those boys the police killed overnight on so and so day? He said, I don't know. He said, you don't know. Were you not the one in charge of the cemetery? Were you not buried in the cemetery? He said, yeah, my guy, will see you there. Don't see me in front of everybody. You know what the boy did? He now turned and looked at, there were two DPOs sitting with us, and looked at one of them and said, okay, but you two, you were there when they were burying them now. While we were discussing, the DPO didn't say he was there. So the boy now told the DPO that, DPO, but you led them to us to be buried. Now you gave them cover now. So why are you not talking? Why is it me alone you want to put it on top of me? How do you now solve that problem? Are you getting what I'm saying? One of the legacies I would have said I had was I brought sanity, but it's been erased off. Even my own brothers are involved in this criminality these days. In fact, they are the heads of those leading criminals to perpetrate terrible things in Maogo, and yet the police cannot catch them. If we want Nigeria to move ahead, there must be the willpower to take the bull by the horn. Forget about this person is my cousin, that person is my family, this is my son. Let us all do the right thing. If your son is caught engaging himself in robbery or whatever, let him face it. I had a sad experience of such before. The Oba is late now. The Oba of Odiolu of Ilaro had a son, Abiodun Adekombi. There was a robbery. I was a journalist then. I can't remember, I think 1980 something or so. There was a robbery in Abeokuta. Unfortunately, the victim of the robbery was shot and killed, and his car was stolen. And this guy was involved in the robbery, the prince. Because he's from Ilaro, he was from Ilaro, he crossed the border, made his papers as if he had traveled. But people saw him. People knew it was him. The robbery took place in Abeokuta. So police started the investigation. He was arrested. It was a very celebrated court, case, and everybody was interested in it. Eventually, he was convicted. It was during the time of Raji Rasaki. Well, what happened? He was convicted and sentenced to be shot on the stake. And there was this law then made by the military that if anybody should do that and your sentence has to be done in your community. In fact, they took him to Ilaro to be killed. All eyes were on his father because his father was a traditional ruler in Ilaro. And there was this heat that his father should be dethroned. I felt for the man that period. He didn't send his son to go and rob, but the boy was shot in his community. That day we went there to see the man. All his palaces, all the gates were locked up. The man could not come out. And I'm sure that would have been a sore point, for that man. Well, if he's gone now. But I felt bad. How could I have brought such a shame to his family? And I'm telling you that these things should be done that way, so that people can talk to their children. When you bring a deviant child home to punish him or her in front of the whole community, his siblings or our siblings will not do that again. And the other families will also warn their children that, look, try this and you bring shame to the family. I'm recalling that today now, not to make jest of the family, but it was painful. I'm recollecting with regrets that that boy could have done that to his family. And we know that Yorubas, I'm sorry coming back to Yorubas are Omoluabi people. Before a Yoruba man will engage in criminality, you should have gone to check his background. He probably wasn't brought up well. We were brought up well. I was brought up as a Catholic. I'm not minding my Catholic background. I have Muslim background too. I have a name called Afatai. It's in my birth certificate. And when we were young, both Muslims and Christians, and even the traditional rulers, we were all cohabiting together. And we were like one. And that's why I keep telling my children, yes, I'm a Catholic. In fact, I even rose to becoming the vice president of Catholic Men Organization in Lagos State. You get it? But I don't know how to pray in Islamic way, but I've not forgotten my Islamic background. I'm a traditional ruler. I go to a lady. I perform everything they say I should perform. We are all praying to the same God. And that is the spirit that can take Nigeria forward. When you start discriminating, when you start seeing the other person as bad, we are nowhere. Even the advanced countries these days, the advanced countries today, they don't hold so much importance to religion. They do the needful and hope that God will help them. That's all. I fully support. At the local government level, I don't see why somebody, all in the name of the constitution, saying if you stay in a place, you should be taken as part and parcel of that. No. There are people today that don't know anything about where they are ruling. They don't know anything about where they are ruling. You call that local government chairman, the chairman of a local government, where he cannot even tell you the history of the local government. What kind of nonsense is that? The traditional ruler who is there must have been somebody from that area, must have grown from a family in that area, and should be held responsible for the minuses or the positive things in that area. Are you getting what I'm saying? If the local government chairmanship position is given to an educated traditional ruler, be an oba, be a bale, you get it? Let that person administer the affairs of that area and know that if he fails, he's going back to that community. And they'll deal with him. They will deal with him. But if you allow them to come in, okay, let's say for instance now, if there are crises in this country, look at the trend of things. Where do they normally run to? They call the traditional rulers, come and speak to your people. Why are you calling them in a time of crisis? Why not call them when you are sitting down together, having a summit of how this place will be developed? Why are you not calling them during the implementation period? Are you getting what I'm saying? I know that a lot of bad eggs have entered into traditional institutions too now. You see all kinds of characters putting beads on their neck, calling themselves chiefs, calling themselves otumbas, even taking the post of oba or bales or whatever. But with time we'll sanitize that too. With time we'll sanitize it. And I pray that the present crop of rulers we have will think along that line. It used to be like that during the First Republic. You get it? Let's bring it back now. am I optimistic? I'll say I'm prayerful. I will pray for him that he succeeds. That's what I'm going to say. I'll say he succeeds. I wish he succeeds. I hope he succeeds. Because let me tell you something. A lot of damages have been done. They finished this country. Our currency is nowhere to be talked about. It cannot buy you anything. It's painful. Hold $1 million this morning. Before afternoon, you are asking yourself, what have you bought? What have you done with this money? In fact, $1 million cannot do anything again. It can't buy you ticket from here to London any longer. You have to have more than that. Any foreign company operating in this country today would prefer to collect their money in hard currency, not our own local currency. So where is Tinubu going to start from? Oil refineries, he said they are going to work. Where are they? Where are they? Now, this same Dangote is a person who said has built this. Is the same person you are now giving permission to go and export from abroad. He has his own refinery. He's going to refine. He's going to do, but yet you are still giving him licenses to go and import from abroad. There are other people too. You know, I can't understand. I don't really understand what is going on. I have to tell you that I don't understand how they are going to do it. Our agriculture, we should be focused upon. Nobody's talking about it. Encourage all our youths to engage in exports. All our banks are not interested in giving loans to encourage our youth to work. Whereas the Chinese, the Indians, have the backing of their governments, and they are giving them billions to come and invest in Africa. And they'll come within months, within years. They've established seriously, and we are now rushing to their so-called companies to work for them. Cheap labor. They take all the money you should have gained, they take it back to their country, because that's where the money they are using they came from. Our own banks here, I don't know what they are doing. They cannot give a young graduate money to start himself off. I was in England some time ago, and a friend of mine was telling me if I need about £600,000, that he would get it for me. I was stunned. He said he even showed me letters written to him by his bank that you come and collect loan. In Nigeria, they don't do that here. If they try to entice you to come and collect loan in Nigeria, look behind their terms and conditions.
All right. What would you consider to be the secret of your success?
Well, determination, doggedness. I'm one of those who will not take no for answer. I don't take no for answer. If I want something, I go after it. And once I focus, but I have series of experiences over that. But don't let me waste your time, because I could remember there was a time when I was a journalist. I got fed up working in Abeokuta, and I came to Lagos. And I told my editors, I said, look, I'm no longer working in Abeokuta. Have they sacked you? I said, no, nobody has sacked me. Funny enough, my friend, Tokubolo Ontoba, was the one covering the Don Barracks. And any time I came to Lagos, I was staying in his house. And I wanted that job. So I went to meet the then news editor, Kunle Odifu. I said, look, you are going to Abeokuta. He said, for what? I said, it's either you become the editor here, or you go to Ogun State and become the chief press secretary of the government. I said, what are you talking? I said, look, we have arranged it that you go to Abeokuta to go and become the chief press secretary. He didn't believe it. But myself and the journalists in Abeokuta were fed up of children of Israel more then. But good enough for Raji Rasaki was the governor then. He accepted our offer that Kunle Odifu should come in as chief press secretary. But he didn't know what to do with. I shouldn't know anymore. I'm good enough. Coincidentally, he was taken out of Lagos at that period. So Lawal came in. And when Lawal came in, what happened was that Lawal thought of it and said, okay, people are gunning for Kunle to come in as chief press secretary. Let's show him become the commissioner, and Kunle became the chief secretary. So his own position as new senator opened. So I told Tokunbo, go and occupy that position. It was in-house politics. It was in-house politics. And Tokunbo became the news editor. So I went to meet double chief, I said, look, I'm reporting here as the next Lagos State House correspondent. The man looked at me and said, where are you coming from? I said, I've come to tell you that I'm resuming. Nobody posted me. But I went to meet him. He said, go back to the office and collect the letter. I said, my letter will come tomorrow morning. He said, what about Tokunbo? What has become of Tokunbo? I said, they have not started Tokunbo. Tokunbo is now in the office as the news editor. And I went back to the office, brought a letter, and I gave it to you. And I started my work in the Don Barracks then. That's all of those things. If I set myself for a goal or a target, I get it.
Welcome again. It's that time of the week. We are on our book review show. We talk about the intricacies of specially written books that help mankind and give you the best of life, to add to the best of life for you. As we take on this break, when we return, we'll be introducing our guest author and CEO of a bookshop. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. This week we have a special guest, author, Lagos Business School alumni. She's a UNILAG PhD holder. She's a certification. She has certification in BizCom and negotiation, connecting with children, non-profit leadership. She just has a long list of qualifications. Her name is Irene Okon Udosen. Welcome to the show.
Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And to my right, my other guest, Mr. Ekom Henry. He's the CEO, All Range Bookshop. Welcome to the show once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So today we're looking at the book Lead Out, a special book. I've looked at it myself and it's quite impressive. But we invited the author today here to shed some more light on what the book is about, what influenced the book, what got behind her to put pen to paper on such an important book, especially in this time. So without further ado, may I call you Irene?
That's fine.
So please talk to us. What's the inspiration? Let's start from the inspiration behind such a literature.
Okay. Lead Out is an education reorientation handbook that was written to be a complementary text for students because we realized that many students go to school without, being prepared to go through academic rigorousness. They want to acquire education, right? But they are more focused on certification than getting knowledge. So at the end of the day, after school, you realize that there is a knowledge gap while they graduate with a mind-blowing certificate. And if we allow things to continue like this, the labor market suffers. You know, for instance, I was with someone who works in a media house a few days ago, and this person has an intern under him, and he was telling me about the difficulty of working with young people. Because after graduation, you see that they are not really, or they don't seem ready to fit into the system in terms of delivery. Capacity. Yes, capacity. So lead out book is a text that is intended to foster academic responsibility among students, to develop readership, and also inspire students to read and be part of their own education. Because we believe that no matter the reforms, if students or learners are not part of their education, there won't be quality education. And if, of course, if there's no quality education, how do we expect to produce graduates that would in turn drive development in our society? The knowledge will not be there, both the knowledge to transform Nigeria or even compete, or to produce something that they can use to compete in the global market will not be there. So if a child says, I'm going to school, you have to help that child realize that it's responsibility, right? I'm not sure how many parents tell their children the purpose of education. All we were told was to go to school, and of course, for the purpose of a better future. But we were not taught how to acquire that future, So there's the likeliness that, not even the likeliness, I think there is negligence towards knowledge, right? We've over time emphasized certificate, excuse me, we've emphasized certificate to the point that people can do anything, to acquire a degree, even if they don't have use for it, just because they want to go to school. But at the end of that, do they have the knowledge to function? I think that's key. And any education that is not functional will not be a useful one. So I think this is the book that raises that consciousness for every student.
Awesome. You see, you mentioned it twice. I was going to ask you, but I said, let me let you finish the flow of your thoughts. Why is it so important today to show off certificates?
Okay, I think certificate is important, right? We're not demeaning certificate, but we're saying that in spite of its significance, there should be a balance, right? For instance, if I have a first class and I walk into an organization and I'm given a responsibility and I end up disappointing, I mean, I think my certificate will be viewed as a sham, right? But certificate is actually the first proof of knowledge, because that is what people can see until you're given the opportunity to prove the education in you. But if you cannot prove the education in you, then I think it creates more embarrassment than the embarrassment that is associated with not being learned. Because if I'm not learned, there's a level of accountability that I won't be held to.
So much you're expected of.
Sorry?
So much you're expected of. When they know, okay, you don't have it.
Yes. When you don't have it, people don't expect much. But when you have it, they want to see it.
Correct.
Yes.
So, Mr. Ekom, let me come to you. Posing that same question, maybe I have to break it down further. In Nigeria today, we see the importance of the show-off, underlined show-off, of certificates, BSc, MSc, PhDs. People want to, appear like they know or that they're learned. Why do you think that problem is?
Thank you. I think that is part of the societal malaise and expectations from governments and institutions, employers of labors, that do use these certificates in terms of people that they need, in terms of manpower and capacity, personnel development, and all that. You see an advert in the paper, you see what they need is BAc, second class, upper, first class, and all those limitations. And people will now say, okay, if I didn't have a first class, I didn't have a second class, upper, then I have to try and get a master's by all means necessary. They acquired a master's degree, they couldn't get a job, they said, okay, let me go for a PhD. Let me do it part-time. And you see a plethora of degrees, someone who is looking for a job as a personnel manager will come with a master's degree in personnel management, master's degree in project management, PhD, and some even call names, business school, big business school, London Business School, Lagos Business School, just to make sure they get a job. And it's a problem because, as Irene rightly pointed out, you must be able to defend whatever paper you present, whatever documents or whatever knowledge you have acquired. And that is when you are given the opportunity to work and to prove. And they say the taste of the pudding is in the eating. When you employ these persons, you find out that what they have presented or what they pretend to acquire do not line up with what the job, the expectation of the job and the position they have acquired. So you see the conflict in the workplace. So you see the staff turnover. Because by and large, those people might be relieved of that job. And then the hunting continues. And when we have an economy that is too weak, you might not find out that employers of labor these days are no more looking for so much of paper qualification. They will ask you to show what you have done, and then they probably might give you put you on probation for a period of time to see if you can actually prove what your papers represent. And these days that we are talking about practical work, people now looking for technical capacity and all other capacities beyond the papers that you have presented. So employers of labors are now looking for your ability to work with other people, social network capacity, the ability to use the systems available, and so many other inputs are being canvassed such that whatever must have been a deficiency in the paper you have presented, probably maybe you have personal marketing abilities, personal selling points. I call it key selling points. Individuals coming to work in a place now, they'll ask you, what are your key selling points beyond your paper qualifications? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ekom. I'll come back to you, Irene. So there are numbers in the book that you mentioned, 75% unemployable, which leaves the ratio at 25% employable. Is this ratio real? This number is real? And if so, what's the process to tackle this?
Okay.
Going by what you have in Lead Out,
based
the
on
book.
Statistics,
Yes.
I would say they are because people did their research actually.
Okay.
And I've had people see the figures and they're like, am I sure they are not even above this, right? Because until you get to interact with young people, you won't know the mess we're in. Thank God for soft skills, thank God for tech skills and all. That is kind of like covering the whole thing up because he made mention of them, right? So this is real. Especially for students in public schools. I work with them and I don't want to start pronouncing names or calling names, we have students in public schools that are almost graduating that cannot read properly. So as we speak, there's even a learning challenge. Let's not go into that. So I think one of the ways we can tackle this is by being intentional about our education or educating our young people, right?
Can you break that down?
Okay, I will.
Okay.
So we need to redefine education for young people, and we need to support them in getting that education. It's not enough to take a child to school and register the child. You have to have there has to be that consciousness of, this is for me, this is for my future, the dream I envisage, what I want to become in the next 30 years. This is my beginning. Supposing it's a primary school, you have to create that connection, right? And just let that child realize that you're not going to get to 30 years or 25 years and just find yourself as a medical doctor somewhere. You have to begin now to put in the work. If you don't understand your mathematics properly, if you can't, you just have to tell them the import of each subject or whatever training they are undergoing. If you don't understand your mathematics properly, this is where it's going to land you on this part. If you don't understand communication, this is where it's going to land you. So the child has to be consciously involved.
All right. Thank you for that. It's still behind pages. We're talking to author Irene Udosian. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll talk some more on the book Lead Out. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still behind pages. We're talking to author Irene Okon Udosian and Mr. Ekom Henry. We're looking at the book Lead Out, an education reorientation handbook. And it brings me to my next question. When we look at, it's for both of us, right? When you rummage through the internet, you're looking at news on TV, you're looking at Vox Pop, you're looking at just stuff that exposes you to seeing people talk and express themselves. You see, there's a lot of show of lack of capacity, like we said the last time, lack of etiquette, lack of the basic things that make you interact properly and show off that whatever knowledge you are trying to sell. Why is that? And I've seen this for years, like from watching news and all that stuff for eons, actually, for decades and decades till now. It's a problem. You see someone that's, let me break it down further, someone that they say has a BSc, has an MSc, but the tenses are poor. The tenses are wrong. Now, what would a book like Lead Out do for such a person? We have a ton of this as a problem.
Okay, we talked about what's going on in the education system. And if you look at it, it's an all-encompassing problem, actually. It's not just, the problem is not just focused on students, right? When it comes to education and developing people, we can't overlook the fact that education has not been given the kind of attention it should be given. And that alone can create a lot of problems, which is part of what you're seeing, right? Okay, let me just use a practical example. We went out to a school a few days ago, and this person was supposed to be guiding a student, and the person who went with me to cover the event was a mass communication graduate. So although he didn't appear as that because he went as a photographer. So hearing what the teacher was saying, he just came behind me and was like, is that true? Stuff like that. And I looked at the fact that the setting could have produced that because you have a lot of private schools that aren't properly run. And you have government schools that also have qualified teachers. I don't know about now because I know that what is happening in the system would also affect the kind of teachers we produce. But I always tell people that I would recommend public school over some private schools, right? So it's actually a systemic thing. And if we want to deal with that, it still boils down to us being able to deliver proper education. Train your teachers to deliver proper education. There's a training we do. If you look at this book, we described the circle of education. And you realize that there is a circle that has to do with teaching, right? So if the teaching is wrong, the learner may not receive the right education.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's an all-encompassing thing. So we are just focused on learners because we know that maybe since they are young people, most of the error, may come from them.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're in a system where because of what is happening out there, parents are striving for survival. There's a lot of negligence.
Distractions.
Yes. So you call, for instance, I heard teachers complain about calling parents for open day, they won't come. They are not even interested in knowing what is happening at the child's school. So, it's not just, the problem is not just focused on one person. So I think my advice would be that people who are into teacher training, quality assurance, quality control assurance, people or so should also look into that area to ensure that education is properly delivered while we focus on the part of students receiving education properly.
Thank you. Properly delivered education. Mr. Ekom, let me come to you with a peculiar question because I'll let you not talk about the other one.
Okay.
Many people think education is a scam. It was also something you mentioned, and it's pertinent. They're like, okay, what do I need? Buying and selling. I get my goods, I sell, I get my money, and I'm good. What do you say to that? How do you speak on that? And why is such a notion rampant?
Now, such a motion is rampant because we are living in a fast, I call it a fast food environment. People want to arrive at their destination so fast and so quick. So you say you're going to go to school, 6334, how many years gone? Then you go to higher studies and all that. And some people believe that within those years spent, you must have used it to do what I call sharp business. And that is so unfortunate because, you see, education is the background, is the shock absorber, is the springboard from which you now lay other layers of development, of training, and education is a lifelong thing. Not because you have acquired your degree and you also are free. I see these days when students graduate, they remove their shirts, wear mark, write all kinds of stuff, and I don't understand. Education is never a scam. Because the mind, like a tabula rasa, has to be filled. Whatever adventure, whatever area you want to go into, you must have to build capacity. Nothing rests on nothing. As she said, you want to become a medical doctor, you begin to start to read. And then even becoming a medical doctor, you might need to specialize. After finishing your basic medical training, you want to become a gynecologist, you have to start a residency program. Do the primaries, do the part 1, do the part 2, and then you will be assigned to a health facility to practice it. Then a consultant will supervise you. You want to become an orthopedic surgeon, then you have to go to
Branch out, specialize.
You have to learn about amputation. It's not you say, okay, it's not a scam. Okay. We have people who didn't practice medicine, who are practicing bone setting. I call it traditional bone setting.
Correct.
And bone massage. To what extent have they succeeded in this field?
Sorry to cut you short. How do you picture my Igbo brother in front of you that doesn't believe in education? What are the few things you can say to him to convince him?
Now, the Igbo apprenticeship program is a scheme that is well known to us. Very good structure.
Correct.
But you see, that structure would have taken them far beyond this level now if they had had some basic educational training. Because when you get to your shop and you begin to sell in the market, you must understand basic accounting. Understand? You must understand basic accounting. You must understand personnel relationship. You must understand human relationship. You must understand customer relationship. You must know how to manage a new person that you are bringing in to understudy, such that you don't become a master of yourself. And then by so doing, you will have opportunity to transfer this information, this knowledge that you have acquired to the next generation. Because now these guys have made money, they are in Toyota, selling paper and all that. Sometimes by the time they go, that whole knowledge is gone.
Thank you so much for that. Sorry to cut you short. We could go on and on. I have my right of questions. But for the author, Irene Okon Udonse, give us in a few words, few words. Tell us about Lead Out and what you expect from Lead Out.
Or what readers should expect.
What you expect the book to do in a few words, because we're for want of time now.
Like I said, Lead Out is an education reorientation handbook. I expect that as many students as would read this book would be driven towards being fully part of their education. They will do well in terms of gaining personal and professional values as well, and also being able to acquire a functional education, right? That would help them, that would benefit them as individuals and also equip them to transform the society.
Thank you so much, Irene. So that's it for our show today. We want to thank our guests for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
You heard it all. Education is not a scam. Education is a bedrock for everything you're going to be doing in life. Keep a date with us same time next week. My name is Ikenna Mba. See you next time. Bye.
Lateef Jakonde. Born Lateef Kayode Jakonde in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enuowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakonde began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakonde editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakonde established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakonde ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979. On the Unity Party of Nigeria platform, his administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souq Enlightenment.
Oyeyimika Adeboye is one who comes from a lineage of entrepreneurs. Her father, Chief Timothy Adeola Odutola, was a pioneer in Nigerian manufacturing and a role model for her business ambitions. This daughter of a trailblazer began her career with Nigerian Bottling Company and broke barriers at Cadbury, an organization she joined as Finance and Strategy Director and rose to become the first female managing director. Let's explore the world of this amazing African business leader who's built a legacy of excellence, inspiring future generation of female leaders. Oyeyimika Adeboye comes from a lineage of entrepreneurs. Her father, Chief Timothy Adeola Odutola, was a pioneer in Nigerian manufacturing and a role model for her business ambitions. Oyeyimika was born to late Chief Timothy Adeola Odutola, a foremost entrepreneur of his time. He was one of the pioneers of indigenous manufacturing in Nigeria, alongside the likes of Al-Hassan Dantata, the great-grandfather of business icon Aliko Dangote, and Louis Ojukwu, father of Odumegwu Ojukwu, the Biafran leader. Chief Timothy Adeola Odutola became the first president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria when the body was formed. As daughter to the man who created a multi-million-dollar conglomerate, including 3 factories, a realty franchise, a cattle ranch, a 5,000-acre plantation, a sawmill, an exporting business, as well as established Adeola Odutola College and Adeola Odutola Elementary School in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. In addition to having a mother who was a very successful businesswoman, Oyeyimika was highly inspired towards business by her parents who served as role models. After her basic and secondary education, Adeboye earned a degree in economics and accountancy from the University College, Cardiff, Wales. In 1986, she qualified as a chartered accountant in the UK before returning to Nigeria in the 90s. She became a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales and a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Nigeria. She also got Executive Management Education Certification in Finance and Business Administration from the Institute of Management Development, Lausanne, Switzerland, between 2000 and 2007. Oyeyimika began a career outside the shores of Nigeria as an article clerk with a United Kingdom accounting practice. On returning to Nigeria in the 90s, Oyeyimika took up a job with the Nigerian accounting and tax practice of Arthur Addison and Co. for a couple of years. From there, she moved to Nigerian Bottling Company PLC in 1994, where she held the position of Finance Director and Chief Financial Officer for about 13 years. Returning to Nigeria from the United Kingdom proved a career-defining moment for Oyeyimika. She recalls the experience of a female English friend who worked in the UK as senior manager for many years, but didn't make partner at the same firm where other male managers were admitted into partnership. Among other reasons, the possibility of career limitation consequent on being female and black were good enough reasons to make Oyeyimika return home. In November 2008, Oyeyimika was headhunted to join the board of Cadbury West Africa as Finance and Strategy Director, West Africa, and a director on the board of Cadbury Ghana Limited. She was also a member of the Audit Committee of the company until October 19, 2016. She is a member of the Executive Management Committee and member of the Risk Assessment Committee of Cadbury Nigeria. She spent a total of 10 years and 7 months with Cadbury before being appointed as MD, Cadbury Nigeria PLC in April 2019. She also became MD, Mondelez Cadbury West Africa. 2 months later, Mondelez International is the parent company of Cadbury Nigeria PLC. After consciously building a career in finance, strategy, and business administration, both in Nigeria and the United Kingdom, for over 2 decades, one can almost say that Oyeyimika had spent all the years preparing for the top. Her appointment as the MD CEO of Cadbury Nigeria PLC is a testament to the company's acknowledgement of fine talents. Position as the Managing Director of Cadbury Nigeria PLC. In April 2019, she was announced as the successor to Amir Shamsi. By this development, she became the first female MD of the company in its over 50 years of existence.
It's very important as you're growing your careers. You come here, you learn a lot, and this is a fantastic initiative, by the way. You come here, you learn a lot, and then you go out there and you're wondering what next. What I always say to people is don't limit yourself. You must never limit yourself. I gave you a statement. I said I'm a finance person, today I'm a general manager. I did not learn general management in school. So whatever you're learning here, I'll call it a drop in your learning pool. Okay, you spend a year here, you learn something. Whatever you learn from here is a drop in your learning pool. Some things you will learn in life. You know where HR people, she's gone, I wish she was here. They always tell us that your development, 80% is in your hands, 20% is in your employer's hands. Your employer can do a lot for you, but all they do for you is really 20%. If you don't get up and do something for yourself, you cannot promote yourself and you will not grow your career.
Oyeyimika Adeboye sits on the board of trustees of the Timothy Adeola Odutola Foundation, named after her father. The foundation targets its philanthropic works towards providing educational, industrial, and technological development for Nigerian youths that may be unable to gain admission into tertiary institutions for their higher education. Adeboye is a member of the board of Odutola Holdings Limited, a family-owned group of companies. Oyeyimika also serves as the chairperson of the advisory board of Genesis House, a home for disadvantaged young women, which was set up by Freedom Foundation. She's a member of the board of the Parity in Income and Education Foundation. Just like Oyeyimika Adeboye was able to break the corporate glass ceiling as the first female MD of Cadbury Nigeria PLC, today women are given the visibility and exposure that was probably not a priority in the past. While there is still a huge gap in the recognition and appointment of highly performing women into CEO roles, the trend is fast improving as organizations are intentionally taking steps to ensure that women get the opportunity to take on very senior roles. As part of her philanthropic work, Adeboye is a member of the Board of Trustees of YEO Foundation, which provides various initiatives to empower less privileged women. She also contributes her time to partner with Handmaidens WRLS, a Christian NGO which seeks to mentor and empower professional women along an ethical career path. Oyeyimika is a member of the Board of Trustees of the Timothy Adeola Odutola Foundation, a family-owned philanthropic foundation set up for the purpose of providing educational, industrial, and technological development of Nigerian youths who may be unable to gain access to higher education. For these accomplished women, only God comes before her family in the scale of priority. She enjoys running and spending time with her family over a sumptuous meal. Oyeyimika Adeboye's values are shaped by faith as a Christian. In an interview granted to Punch newspaper, Oyeyimika admits her faith-based values, which borders on integrity, is key to decisions she makes and work ethics.
Just do what you need to do and do it well, to your best, you know. Ms. Oshika talked about it, to the best of your ability. Do your best. What do I want to say? Yes, I said be ready to make sacrifices, but be mindful of your priorities. I want to talk about priorities. As a Christian, you know, and as a mother, as a wife, there's some things in my own life that I know are important. You know, when you're talking about work-life balance, so many things would try to tear you apart. You know, you have to have your priorities. So I took my priorities right. I said, in any decision, in any situation I face, I stick my finger out and I say three things. The first thing is my faith, my God. So if anything at work is going to take that away from me, I'm really willing to give up that work. You know, and I say it boldly, that as a Christian, if I have to compromise my faith, then it's not worth it.
Growing up in a home with strict moral upbringing, she recounts a disciplinarian father never failing to apply the rod when it was necessary, as well as her mom. These values have shaped Oyeyimika's character and decision-making. The journey of Oyeyimika exemplifies dedication, talent, and the importance of breaking barriers. She continues to inspire future generations of female leaders. There's never telling where this wonderful, amazing woman is going next as she continues to break corporate ceilings.
Muhammad Yunus was born on the 28th of June 1940 in the village of Batwa, Chittagong, a British Indian colony which is currently known as Bangladesh. He attended Lama Bazar Primary and Secondary School in his village and passed the matriculation examination into Chittagong Collegiate School, where he ranked 16th out of 39,000 students. After his graduation in 1961, Yunus joined the Bureau of Economics as a research assistant and was later appointed lecturer of economics at the Chittagong College. During that time, he also set up a profitable packaging factory on the side. In 1965, he received a Fulbright scholarship to study in the United States, where he obtained his PhD in economics from the Vanderbilt University Graduate Program. in economic development. Between 1969 and 1972, after his keen education excellence of apex heights and proportions in the United States, he returned home and was appointed professor of economics at the University of Chittagong. He was eventually appointed onto the board of directors to the United Nations Foundation, where he served for 33 years. When Bangladesh suffered a famine in 1974, Yunus felt he had to do something for the very poor. In his country, he founded the Grameen Bank. His motivation was to create economic and social development for the very poor, giving long-term loans to those who wanted to start small enterprises to pay back when they can. The aim to help was to get many of them out of poverty. For this, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. Muhammad Yunus is a recipient of numerous international awards for his ideas and endeavors, including the Humanitarian Award in 1993, World Food Prize in 1994, Independence Day Award in 1987, Bangladesh's highest award, the King Hussein Humanitarian Leadership Award in 2000. He was also awarded the Volvo Environment Prize in 2003, Nikkei Asia Prize for Regional Growth in 2004, Franklin D. Roosevelt Freedom Award in 2006, as well as the Souq Peace Prize in the same year. All humans are born entrepreneurs, he would always fondly say. His heart showed through his everyday life.
For more than a century, Zambia has stood as a prominent figure in the mining sector, particularly renowned for its copper production, which remains a cornerstone of the nation's economy. Accounting for 3/4 of the country's export earnings, mining plays a pivotal role in Zambia's economic landscape. The focal point of this mining activity is the Copperbelt province, home to major copper mines like Lumwana and Konkola, alongside Sentinel in the northwestern province. These mines, operated by renowned international firms such as Barrick and Vendetta Resources, hold majority foreign ownership, with Zambia Consolidated Copper Mine Investment Holdings retaining minority stakes. Smaller mines in the Copperbelt region, backed by investors from countries like China, Brazil and South Africa, contribute to Zambia's diversified mining landscape. However, the country's mining sector faces various challenges hindering the potential growth trajectory. Fiscal policies introduced by the government, including royalty increases, the taxation policies, have negatively impacted mining profitability. Also, price volatility in global markets, infrastructural deficiencies like inadequate transportation networks, power shortages, and an uncertain regulatory environment further increases the sector's challenges. Moreover, labor disputes, safety concerns, and geopolitical risks stemming from political instability poses additional hurdles to Zambia's mining sector. To propel the nation towards its 3 million tons copper production goal, strategic measures are crucial, and these include leveraging digital technology through partnerships with AI and machine learning firms to enhance sector's efficiency and investment, stable policy framework in order to attract and retain investment, and provision of a conducive regulatory environment. Infrastructure strengthening supported by donor funding and concessional financing can also alleviate critical constraints such as transportation and power shortages. More so, environmental conservation is vital for sustainable development. Hence, mining companies must provide government-approved environmental management plans, prioritize durable equipment, and proper waste disposal techniques to minimize environmental degradation. Giving copper's expected dominance in Zambia's exports, maintaining its position as Africa's economic hub demands a concerted effort. Israel Adeyemi, Souq News.
Anthony Onyemaechi Elumelu was born on the 22nd of March 1963 in Jos, North Central Nigeria, to Susanna Dominic Elumelu, originally from Delta State. Tony earned a degree in economics from Ambrose Ali University, where he laid the foundation for his future career, and then furthered his education at the University of Lagos, where he obtained a master's degree in economics. His academic journey also includes attending the Harvard Business School, where he completed the Owner of President Management program, equipping him with advanced business management skills. Tony currently serves as the chairman of Heirs Holdings, Transcorp, and United Bank for Africa, UBA, demonstrating his significant influence in the banking and investment sector. He founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, which aims to empower African entrepreneurs through comprehensive training, mentorships, and funding opportunities. In addition to his professional achievements, he's also a family man, married to Dr. Adele Vivian Elumelu, and together they have 7 children. In 2020, his efforts were acknowledged when he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. Anthony Elumelu's net worth is estimated to be around $700 million, a testament to his successful ventures and strategic investments. Elumelu continues to be a driving force in the business world, advocating for sustainable economic growth and empowering the next generation of African entrepreneurs.
Broad Street. Broad Street, situated in Lagos Island, is steeped in Nigerian history. Once the biggest financial hub of the country, it housed the headquarters of major banks, linked the CBN, the stock exchange, and the loads of lender companies. Broad Street is a historically significant street. It has played a central role in the development of Lagos and history, an important commercial and administrative center for the British colonial authorities. It was also a home to some of the city's earliest modern buildings. Broad Street was a residential area in the pre-colonial era. With the British came the Methodist Boys High School in 1878 and the Broad Street Prison in 1882, renamed Freedom Park. The General Hospital, which was a British military hospital, was built in 1893, being the first general hospital in Nigeria. The old British Secretariat building, which is now the Federal Ministry of Justice, was built in 1906. Broad Street has seen a full turn into modern commercial office blocks, complexes, skyscrapers, and markets from the outer marina through Akpombo, early into the Adeniji-Adele Road. Broad Street is one of the busiest streets in Nigeria on weekdays, where commercial activities take place day and night. From modern buildings to ancient structures, this street gives one a raw dose of life in Lagos. Broad Street is often referred to as Lagos Financial District. It boasts a mix of architectural styles, reflecting its long history, colonial-era buildings, Victorian and Edwardian architectural features, alongside more modern skyscrapers and structures. Broad Street remains a vital, vibrant part of the Nigerian economy. Broad Street. Souq Enlightenment.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique
Welcome to the news on Souq News Television. I am Temple Barra. First, the headlines. Federal government considers terminating Abuja airport runway contract over cost. South African G20 presidency prioritizes critical minerals, green growth. Saudi Arabian Crown Prince pledges $600 billion in U.S. investments. And in the U.S., federal diversity, equity, inclusion employees to be on paid leave. Here are the details of the news. The federal government is contemplating cancelling the 90 billion naira contract for the construction of a second runway at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. This follows a controversial variation request from the contractors, raising the contract value to an unprecedented 532 billion naira, a 491% increase. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, disclosed this while defending his ministry's 2025 budget before the National Assembly Joint Committee on Aviation. Keyamo described the variation as unreasonable and emphasized the president's opposition to such escalations, warning that the contract might be terminated if the demand persists. He noted that the contractors had commenced preliminary work on the site after receiving an initial 30 billion naira mobilization and that affected communities had been compensated. However, despite some progress, including excavation and preparatory activities, the sudden cost hike had stalled further development. The aviation minister stated that alternative proposals are being reviewed and he plans to consult with stakeholders before presenting final recommendations to the president. Keyamo assured the committee that fiscal prudence remains a priority, particularly for significant projects like the second runway. The Minister of Aviation has proposed a 71 billion naira budget for 2025, with 69 billion naira allocated for capital projects. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has launched a new initiative called Operation Empty the Stores in order to empower farmers and boost food production. According to the ministry's permanent secretary, Marcus Olani Ogumbi, the project will distribute agricultural inputs and equipment stored across the country to farmers, enhancing agriculture and food security efforts. Speaking at a workshop in Abuja themed Building Partnership with the Media for Food Security, Ogumbi emphasized the importance of collaboration with the media in promoting the initiative. He described the program as a strategic move to improve communication and knowledge sharing while ensuring the ministry's objectives are met. Ogumbi highlighted agriculture's critical role in the national economy, particularly amid global economic challenges and the need for diversification, as he calls for renewed efforts to strengthen the sector's capacity to ensure sustainable food security. Nigeria's total debt payments increased to 3,570 billion naira in the third quarter of 2024, moving up by 1.71% from 3,510 billion naira in the previous quarter. This rise was caused by the weakening of the naira and larger external debt obligations. Data from the Debt Management Office showed that the country spent $1,340 billion on external debt payments, equal to 2,140 billion naira when converted using the September exchange rate of 1,601 naira per dollar. This marked a 29.70% jump in naira in terms compared to the second quarter, when $1,120 million was valued at 1,650 billion naira. The DMO also reported a significant rise in payments to international lenders. Payments to multilateral lenders like the World Bank totaled $712,660,000, making up 53.26% of total external debt payments. Meanwhile, bilateral loan payments, particularly to China's Exim Bank, surged by 325.52%, reaching $182,040,000 in the third quarter after no payments were recorded in the second quarter. Commercial debt payments, including Eurobonds, increased to $438,680,000. On the domestic side, debt payments dropped to 1,430 billion naira in the third quarter from 1,860 billion naira in the second quarter. There's, however, a 56.8% rise in interest payments on short-term borrowing instruments like treasury bills. The Nigerian Stock Exchange experienced a slight decline yesterday, with the all-share index closing down by minus 0.29% at $103,137.99. Despite the overall dip, market turnover surged by 68.76% to 13.47 billion naira, indicating increased trading activity. Market breadth was slightly positive, with 29 advances against 25 decliners, suggesting a mixed performance among listed stocks. The SIAML Pension ETF 40 topped the gainers chart at 10.00% to close at 770 naira per share, while Multiverse PLC led the losers list to close at 10.05 kobo, or 10 naira 5 kobo per share, moving down by minus 9.87%. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, has called for Africa's inclusion as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, advocating for Nigeria as the continent's ideal representative. Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Sweden, during a panel discussion titled Africa's Momentum, Souq highlighted Africa's glaring exclusion from the Council, despite 60% of its resolutions addressing African issues. According to a statement by his media aide, Al-Qasim Abdul Kadir, Souq emphasized the need for fairness in global governance and a reassessment of policies that disproportionately penalize Africa, such as the UN's deforestation law. He underscored Nigeria's historical and strategic contributions to Africa's development, including its leadership in anti-apartheid movements and peace initiatives. He highlighted Nigeria's role as the only African nation with a permanent seat on the African Union's Peace and Security Council and its soft power efforts, such as the Technical Aid Corps program, which deploys professionals to African, Caribbean, and the Pacific nations. Souq argued that Nigeria's population of over 220 million, projected to reach 400 million by 2050, and its economic size makes it a strong candidate for both the G20 and the UNSC. During the panel discussion moderated by Chatham House Director Bronwyn Maddox, Souq also encouraged South Africa, host of the 2025 G20 Summit, to support Nigeria's bid for greater inclusion in global decision-making platforms. A still news hour on Souq News Television. Please stay tuned as we bring you more stories. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has outlined the objectives for South Africa's historic G20 presidency, marking the first time an African nation leads the global economic group. Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Ramaphosa emphasized the importance of leveraging critical minerals for inclusive growth and sustainable development. He stressed the necessity for the G20 to establish its own framework for green industrialization and investments, noting that his administration aims to amplify the voices of developing nations and bring attention to the unique challenges posed by climate change, which he says disproportionately affects the global South. South Africa assumed the G20 presidency in December, taking over from Brazil, and is set to collaborate closely with both Brazil and the United States during its term. The presidency will rotate to the United States at the end of 2025. Moving on, the Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe has issued an urgent alert regarding the falsified Abharab rabies vaccine circulating through unauthorized channels within the country. In a statement addressed to licensed pharmacies, wholesalers, and healthcare facilities, MCA's Director General Richard Rukwata warned of the health risks posed by the counterfeit product, stating that the falsified Abharab rabies vaccine poses a significant threat to public health due to potential lack of efficacy, harmful components, and the risk of treatment failure in preventing rabies, a fatal disease. All licensed entities have been instructed to immediately quarantine any units of the affected vaccine and submit them to MCAZ for proper disposal. And the general public have been advised to return any purchased units of the counterfeit vaccine to the pharmacy where they obtained it. Saudi Arabia's Aramco, the world's largest oil company, has expanded its trading portfolio for purchasing its first cargo of WTI Midland. Take a moment, and when we return, we'll bring you the details of this and more.